Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. I really do appreciate your time. Much love to each and every one of you. This show is powered by BETUS. Sign up today, get up to 150% on your first deposit, up to 125% on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000. And make sure that you go and download the BETUS app or go to the website, use the promo code YouTube150. Shouts out to everybody here. For those that couldn't make it, like always, shouts out to them after show boys.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
Shouts out to all the after show boys, after show girls out there. I really do appreciate this. On this edition, we're going to be talking about Saints general manager Mickey Loomis. And of course, he had his weekly radio spot on WWL. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that. He's talked a little bit about Darren Rizzi, talked a little bit about the Saints victory over the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. And so we're going to be getting into that. And we're also going to be answering some of your questions like always. But let's go ahead and get into it. Saints general manager Mickey Loomis appeared on WWL, as he does every single week. And it never fails. There's always something in there that we can actually talk about and discuss, something that he said, something that he actually alluded to. And there are some things that, to me, kind of stood out. But just for the sake of this show and, us, trying to keep it in a time frame here, I picked out two sound bites. I kind of talked a little bit about one of them on the last episode when I kind of talked about the disconnect between Mickey Loomis and the fan base. Don't know why, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. We'll kind of expound on that because, when you have a topic for a show, you kind of want to stay on that. But there were two topics in particular. The first one, to me, it was with Mickey Loomis discussing Darren Rizzi. And of course, this was the emotional win. The Saints knocking off the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. The Saints snapping a 7-game losing streak. So Mike Hoss, who is the voice of the New Orleans Saints, play-by-play guy, WWL, and also a sports legend down in New Orleans in his own rights. But he asked a question about Darren Rizzi and what did Mickey Loomis think of Darren Rizzi first performance as the interim head coach?
Yeah, I think this when you have a midseason change, and this goes for any team, you're gonna get a little bump in emotion, right? And I thought Rizzi did a great job of accentuating that, of having some tangible things that were different relative to the week, the preparation. I think he stated some things verbally that needed to be stated. Talked a lot about accountability and being all in and having a different mindset for the week and accentuating that and I think most importantly our team responded to that this week. And look, we got some guys back as well that made a difference, and ended up with a win and a close game.
So as you can hear, it just seems to me he was giving Darren Rizzi some credit, but this is where I don't understand what he's talking about. What player came back? He said he got some players back. What player came back? Will Harris? Now, I'm just saying, man, like who came back? That's what I didn't understand. I didn't understand. He was like, he made it seem like, oh, it was a victory. Oh, it was this emotion. It's all that spark of, changing from one head coach to another, were able to get the victory. Here's where, I don't understand. I don't understand it, right? This is why I don't understand. How is it that he just cannot see that those guys played more inspired football under Darren Rizzi than they did with Dennis Allen? It's like he just does not want to accept that. Then he talked about players coming back. Like, who came back? Everybody that was out there last week played this week, for the exception of Will Harris. Will Harris is like the only person that I can just remember. Maybe I'm tripping. Will Harris came off IR, I want to say last week, didn't play, but he ended up coming back into this week. So who else? Who else was out there? That's what I'm saying. It just sounds like somebody that had sour grapes. Like he just upset at the fact that his main man, Dennis Allen, is no longer with the team. And he talked about, the bump. I get that, right? When you have an interim coach, everybody's kind of emotional, and it's a turning of the page, and guys go out there and they play inspired. But that's a fair assessment, because history has shown us that when teams change up their coaches, the next week they seem to play more inspired. But to say that the reason why these guys were successful in the game versus the Atlanta Falcons was because some guys came back, I mean, no disrespect to Will Harris. I mean, I think he played well. I mean, he lowered the boom on Tyler Algier, in that game. But at the same time, what are we talking about here? This is a guy that just doesn't want to accept defeat. And it's pretty sad to watch, man. It's pretty sad to watch. But there's another point that he, not a point, but a statement that he made in regard to the wide receiver group. We know that Rashid Shaheed is out for the year. More than likely, we're not going to see Chris Olave for the rest of the year. So your number one, your number two receiver is down. It's a bunch of guys that weren't, a part of the team or part of the rotation, or the team didn't have any, they didn't feel like they are right now. And Mickey Loomis also spoke about that as well.
Yeah, look, I'm guessing that most of our fans didn't know who Marquez was before the game. They certainly do now. He made two huge plays, three huge plays, really, because he had two explosive plays and then the touchdown. I thought Kevin Austin made a couple of nice plays in the game, two big catches. for first downs in tough critical situations. Just a lot of guys stepped up. We had some guys on defense as well. Ugo, who's been here and been a good player for us, has had the opportunity to play.
So he credits some guys, but he also said that, most fans didn't know who Marquez Valdez-Scantling was. And I thought that was funny as well, because when the Saints signed Marquez Valdez-Scantling, most Saints fans were like, man, this dude is pretty good. And we also knew that the Saints were trying to get Marquez Valdez-Scantling a couple of years ago before he signed with the Kansas City Chiefs and won 2 Super Bowls. So this is what I'm talking about here. It's like, it's like I don't know, man. It just seemed like he's like extremely like bitter and petty, these days. I just don't get it. Like, the whole name of the game is winning. Like, you saw this. You saw that these players were not responding to Dennis Allen, and you were willing to allow Dennis Allen to go out there week after week as the head coach of this team, make everybody's life miserable, fans' life miserable, players' life miserable. You were willing to do that, right? All in the name of just saying that, oh, I got this thing under control. Like, I don't understand it, man. But fan base and Mickey Loomis, it just seems like Mickey Loomis is at war with the fan base. He seems like he doesn't want anybody to question anything that he does. It just seems to me like he just doesn't want to admit that he made a mistake, and he continues to do that. I think that the New Orleans Saints right now, based on how they performed last week, I think they're going to continue to play that way under Darren Rizzi. Will they win a lot of games? Probably not. But the fact that we are watching Saints football with an invested interest again, I think that is a plus. And that's what you want. You just want to have a belief that your team has a chance to win. But when you combine the fact of the injuries and a lame duck coach that doesn't have a clue, it just completely just kills the vibe, the energy that is in the air. This show is not going to go anywhere. He's the executive vice president of the team as well as the general manager. I expect for him to continue to try to double, triple, quadruple down on some of the nonsense. And we just going to have to wear our Who Dat umbrellas and hope that, the reign of terror, doesn't do any irreparable damage to the team and the organization going forward, man. You cannot run an organization based on emotion. Like, you just can't be so emotional to a point where you just don't want to make changes because it makes you look a certain way. I look at it completely different. I feel like you're not willing to turn the page, or you not willing to move on from certain situations. To me, I think that makes you look incompetent, and it makes you look like you don't know exactly what you are doing. I think a part of Mickey Loomis actually kind of relishes these moments, because nobody really honestly talked about him that much. I've said this on several episodes. Nobody really talked about Mickey Loomis. Nobody really cared about what Mickey Loomis had to say about Saints football. But now, he's under that microscope, and I think a part of him, kind of likes that. I was listening to him, talk on WWL, and he up there sound like he Jerry Jones, like he was breaking down X's and O's and Willies and Joes. I'm like, man, wait a minute here. What are we doing here? So I don't know, man. But he needs to find it. Like, I never had an issue with Mickey Loomis. I feel like he kind of goes around the corner and down the street to get to an answer. And then by the time you probably write something down as a journalist, you looking like, man, what the heck did I just write? I mean, I don't feel like he really honestly answers any questions, like, especially like when it comes to personnel decisions, like when he has his end of the year press conference. I mean, it's almost like an art. I never seen a human being that talks so much and says absolutely nothing. Like, you got to be creative and, pretty, well-rounded to be able to talk in circles the way that he does. There was a few press conferences I've seen from Mickey Loomis, and I'm like, What did he just say? He said a bunch of stuff that means absolutely nothing, right? But I don't know. I don't know how you can get around this. I just think that, you know, things are going to continue to be the way that they are as long as he just doesn't want to admit his failures. I just think that is the true. That's the true definition of a leader, for the person that takes accountability for their faults and their victories. You know what I'm saying, and give credit to other individuals. But to me, it just seems like he's not happy with the situation, and I wouldn't say that he wants Darren Rizzi to not be successful, but to be quite honest with you, he kind of needs Darren Rizzi not to be successful. Allow me to elaborate. He went on WWL Radio when Dennis Allen was fired, and you can clearly hear that he didn't agree with the decision. He went out there and said it was the injuries that was the issue, right? It was the injuries. That was the reason why the Saints couldn't find success. And, you know, that's partially true. Like, you can say that, you know, injuries played a role, but it also had a lot to do with the incompetence of Dennis Allen as a head coach. He went on wax. He went on record saying that. So if Darren muster up some wins and win consistently over the next 7 games, that makes him look ridiculous. You know, it's almost like, you know, adding on to those sound bites that just make him just look like like he doesn't have a clue, looking beyond the results and, you know, talking about parking in other, you know, parking in parking spaces that don't belong to the players, and, you know, just stuff that nobody even thinking about, you know. But I don't know, man. Mickey is very concerning right now. It's very concerning the way that he seems like he's going to war with everybody. It seems like, you know, he's upset and he's taking it, you know, he's frustrated. And, you know, I don't like the fact that how it seems like, you know, his anger is going towards the individuals that are only doing their job or just having invested interest in a product. Like, you can't go to a restaurant, not like the food, and then you the chef and you get mad because people don't like your food. Like, you got to cook better. You know, like, the food wasn't good. You can't get mad at that. People just want a better product. You know, the Saints played better on Sunday. I said it. I said it on pregame on Bleacher Report. The postgame on Bleacher Report and the postgame on State of the Saints. It's been a while since I felt that about a Saints game. It's been a minute. I have not felt that way about a Saints game in a while, where I just watched it and I'm like, dang, you know what I'm saying? I got invested interest in this football game. Like, I hope that they actually win a football game. And I just think that if you are a losing team right now, you're 3-7, you know, you want to at least feel like your team has a chance. Like, you know, more than likely, well, there is no more than likely, you're not making the playoffs, you're not winning the division, right? But at the same time, if your team can be competitive to a point where people walk away from the game with a really good feeling because the team won, or a disappointed feeling that the team lost, I still feel like, you know, that's going to make them want to watch next week, hopefully that they can right the wrongs if they lose or build on the momentum when they win. But, you know, sitting up here getting upset that, you know, Dennis Allen is gone and, you know, kind of looking at this win as tongue in cheek, like, oh, man, you know, this is how most, like, I don't feel, you know, I don't think he's a Rizzi guy, to be honest with you. You know, I don't think that he's a Rizzi guy. And I think, you know, a part of him is very, very upset at the whole Dennis Allen thing and how it made him look. But get over yourself, Mick. There's been a disconnect from the moment he hired Dennis Allen and tried to fool the fan base on this guy being the answer when he clearly wasn't. Look, I'm going to say this, Tyra. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I said this. And I just, like, hindsight is 20/20. I guess that this is like one of, I guess, you know, this is a fault of mine. I don't even want to call it a fault, but this is what I do. I don't go by, you know, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt if they have some built up equity. Like, if they got some good qualities and I've seen them do some good things, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. we really honestly didn't have a reason to doubt Mickey Loomis at the time. Mickey Loomis, who was around successful individuals that made him successful. So we know that now, but back in the day, it looked like he was just as responsible as the whole Sean Payton, Drew Brees experience. And by him hiring Dennis Allen, it was like, okay, we understand, you're trying to bring somebody from within. You feel like you have a better structure. Kind of like lobby for him and said that, it was mostly on the Oakland Raiders than it was on Dennis Allen. All right, whatever, right? We'll give you that. All right, you've done more positive things than negative, so we're gonna give him a chance. Now that's all you can do, right? That's all you can do. But to me, I feel like it was a big mistake. Here's number one. I think that the New Orleans Saints sometimes, like, they get in their own way. They pride themselves out of running their organization in a certain way. And they have like these principles, and they follow these certain rules. And sometimes it's good to follow those rules, but sometimes you got to step outside of the box as well. And I just think that the New Orleans Saints kind of sleptwalk through the head coaching process. I think that they probably had some guys that could have eventually been really good head coaches for the football team, but they knew they wanted Dennis Allen the entire time. So they basically were just sitting in the rooms with guys, and it was just, them playing kangaroo court, so to speak, right? You're interviewing this guy. You don't really have any intentions on hiring him. You just kind of going through the process to say that you actually went through the process. All the while, you got the paperwork ready for Dennis Allen to sign so he can be the head coach. I feel like that was the biggest mistake. Look, one thing about business, I know sometimes like we have individuals that work with us, and let's just say we're in a management role and you see this person working really hard, this person really bringing something to the table. That's all fine and dandy. But I honestly believe in the interview process. Like, I will never get upset if, I'm one of those people that get hired, get elevated from within, or I have an opportunity to get hired from within. And let's just say, for example, somebody else comes in, they interview, and they're like, okay, we're going to go with that person. Look, I feel like you should always dot your I's and cross your T's. Will I be upset I didn't get the job? Yes. But at the same time, like, I respect the process. The Saints did just sleptwalk through that process. And I feel like that was the biggest mistake, because even though you might have had your mind on Dennis Allen, who's to say if you would have gave that other guy that came in the type of attention and respect that you wanted to give to Dennis Allen, then who knows? He probably wouldn't have been the coach. And then to me, I feel like you kind of set yourself back, because I feel like at this stage and at this time, your defense probably would have been a whole lot better, because Dennis Allen would have been focusing solely on the defense. So if you would have hired an offensive-minded coach that can go in there, that can turn around this offense with what you actually had, where you ain't have to go out here to get a $150 million quarterback in Derek Carr, that $150 million could have went somewhere else, maybe to a couple of players, or a pass rush, or a player of need. Instead, you could have done some things with that instead of going out here and getting Derek Carr, if you would have got yourself the right football coach. But you didn't. And, I just think that they kind of set themselves back. But hey, man, you tried to do something. It didn't work. Time to move on. Loomis still salty over DA like he was some outstanding coach. Even his calling card defense took major steps back this year. Yeah, I mean, it took huge steps back. And I just think that it took huge steps back, not because he just forgot what he was doing. I just think that was rebellion with those players. Like, I think it was a rebellion, that those players went out there and it was like, okay, I'm going to go out there and do my job. But, if a business decision needs to be taking place, I'm going to take this business decision. I feel like that's what it was. And to me, I just think that dude lost the locker room, at the end of the season. And Mickey refused to see that. Like, that's why I say he is running that organization based on emotion. when you seen those players and how they reacted and how this man threw those players under the bus and apologizing to the Falcons of all teams. By the way, did y'all know that the New Orleans Saints beat the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday by a score of 20-17? Just want to let you know in case you didn't watch the game. But all I'm saying is you lost the locker room right there, right? James Hurst even alluded to it, and people thought that he was going to get fired. But Mickey Loomis walks into the locker room, basically tells the players, buy into Dennis Allen or else. Like, come on, man. And he better be careful as well. He better be very, very careful as well, because I'm telling you, the way that you're operating could really do some harm to the New Orleans Saints. Because if you're around this thing being this stubborn, it might affect you when it comes to the free agent process too. Because free agents might be looking like, man, I don't know about this dude right here, man. He kind of defiant here. He wait till the last minute to make some changes when we can actually probably build some momentum. Like you can't just sit there and just watch something burn and just be like, okay, I know it's on fire right now, but it's not like, it's about to catch on to an electrical circuit or something like that, and it's about to spread the fire. It's going to go out on its own. Like, come on, man. Like, you got to douse some water with it or something like that. Beat it with some clothes. You know what I'm saying? Something. To put the fire out. But him, he seems like he is just standing around and just wait for the fire to go out. Like the fact that you look at that football game and think that it's just solely on, just a interim bump is the reason why that team just played that inspired. Like, to me, that's disconnecting itself. Like you can't believe that. Like you got to just be saying that because you have to believe that. Because the decision you made of hiring Dennis Allen was a mistake. Maybe his plan was to lose out the entire time for high picks, and under Rizzi, he knows we won't have a top 5 pick. Could be, could be it. That could be it, but I doubt it. Because if that was the case, then he's the general manager. He could have had a fire sale, right? But we hear all the reports saying that he's not having a fire sale. He's not trying to, embrace that whole rebuild process. We've heard the reports, so we know that's not it. Loomis being saying little slick stuff to belittle the fans, like Saints fans dumb. What you mean we ain't know who Marquez Valdes-Scantling was? Yeah, saying stuff like that. Last year talking about Saints fans didn't come to the game. It wasn't because they didn't, it wasn't because the team was losing. It was the economy. Nah, bro. I don't care how down bad things were. Saints fans going to show up for the Saints when they feel like the Saints, team is trying to build on something and it's worth their time. They're going to show up. Like, ain't no economy going to keep them from coming to no Saints games. We know, we know that this fan base is loyal to the Saints, but people are just disgusted. People are tired. People were tired with that same old status quo, man. And them sitting up there, looking up at the sky, and not looking down on the ground. What the heck is going on right in front of their eyes? People were frustrated with that. And that's the reason why they didn't show up to the games last year towards the end. People didn't believe in Dennis Allen, didn't believe in Derek Carr. And, they just refused to try to make any type of significant changes that can change their misfortunes. Even this year, like they came into this season this year saying basically it's Pete Carmichael's fault. We're going to keep everything that we got, receivers and all, and we just going to get an offensive coordinator, and that's what's going to put us over the top. Stuff like that, man. Like teams change every single year. Circumstances change every single year. Your opponents, your division rivals, they build their team and they structure their teams to try to be better, to be able to counteract anything that you do well. You basically sit there with your hands in your pockets the entire offseason for the most part, and when you knew that you needed another wide receiver because you weren't going to bring back Michael Thomas, you didn't do that. You went out there and you got Willie Gay, which he's a pretty good player, but you didn't really need that. What you needed was a wide receiver, to be able to go alongside Shaheed and Olave. You didn't even address that. You needed some help when it came to, the running game, being able to help out Alvin Kamara, because you seen Jamal Williams, God bless the brother, but he wasn't giving you everything that you need. But instead, you decided that you wanted to roll with some guys that, that can barely get into the lineup, practice squad guys. Like, it's stuff like that. Like, that's the kind of stuff that holds you back. I don't care how well you finish. You always want to try to improve your team. Even if you feel like what you're doing is passable, you're always trying to find ways where you can be more than just passable, where you can just truly be formidable. And, they didn't do that. They just blamed it on Pete Carmichael and said, okay, we're going to bring Clint Kubiak in and bring all these guys back. Like, you didn't even try to build on the depth of your wide receiver position. So that's right. That's why right now you are trying to go out there with guys like Mason Tipton, Equimedius St. Brown, and Jermaine Jackson. Like, no disrespect to those guys, but they are not ready for this moment right now. I mean, they eventually can be some role players, but they're not going to be stars. You don't thrust undrafted, unproven guys like that into the number one wide receiver spot. Like, it just doesn't work like that. Let's see. Ozzie Newsome for GM, pay him whatever it takes. I agree. Ozzie Newsome was a great general manager over there for the Baltimore Ravens. TJ, I got my shades on. Yeah, Jerry, look, I had my shades on the NFC South Roundtable and on the last night episode. But yeah, man, it had these Falcon fans. They still upset. They upset about the loss. Now they sitting up there moving a goalpost. They were saying all last week about how they was gonna beat the New Orleans Saints. They were talking about all last week how we ain't have a chance, and they just on this collision course with the Super Bowl around this thing, and man. And now all of a sudden, like, they lose now, man, y'all still 3-7. Who cares? Like that, like, I'm telling you, that is like water on a duck's back when it comes to, like, insulting the New Orleans Saints. Like, Saints fans know, like, this is the difference between Saints fans and Falcon fans. Saints fans aren't delusional. Like, we know that the Saints are 3-7. We know that they 3-7. We know they more than likely ain't making the playoffs. We know more than likely they not winning the division. But we don't care. And that's the part that really kills them. Like, we don't care. Like, the only thing that mattered to us was the Saints beating the Atlanta Falcons by a score of 20-17. It could have been 20-17. It could have been 17-14. It really didn't matter, folks. It really did not matter at the end of the day, because and I know that this rivalry means, a lot to both parties. But the fact is they want us to hurt. They want us to feel bad. They want us to feel bad about, being 3-7, but we not, because we already know. We already know the reason why the Saints are 3-7, because of Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen wasn't a good head coach, and those guys didn't want to follow Dennis Allen. It wasn't the fact that, the Saints were just that terrible. Just guys wasn't motivated to play for a guy that throws them under the bus and doesn't really give them any type of credit for doing the good things, and basically just throws them under the bus anytime somebody, puts the spotlight on him. Why would you want to play for a guy like that? But it doesn't hurt Saints fans, and I think that's the biggest issue, is that they can't get under the Saints fans' skin because of it. And, by saying 3-7, y'all 3-7, like, don't they understand, like, how bad that makes them look? Like, you saying they're 3-7. Yes, the Saints are 3-7. So why are y'all, 2-3 games above 500? You couldn't beat a 2-7 team at the time. I'm just saying. Like, if the Saints are 2-7 when they played them, and now they 3-7, what does that say about you all? What does that say about the Falcons? And like I said, Saints fans, we know who we are. We know that we're a struggling franchise right now, trying to figure it out. The Atlanta Falcon fans, they win a couple games. Now all of a sudden they think that, they got room to talk, which I find that hilarious. Like, they acted like they finally, like, I want people to understand this. This is the first time in nearly 6 years that the Atlanta Falcons have had a winning record after 11 weeks. This is the team that feel a fan base that feels like they have room to talk. For one season, in the last 7, they have looked credible after 11 weeks. Now they feel like they have room to talk. Like, what are we doing? You're not the Chiefs. You're not the Bills. You're not the Ravens. Now, if there was one of those teams, I can understand that. If Tampa was talking to me like this, I can be like, okay, man, they've been winning the division since the 2020s. I can understand that. But this is the first year y'all actually have some prosperity. The first year, not all of a sudden, like, we supposed to like bow down to y'all. This is ridiculous. The Atlanta Falcons ain't even on it. Like, honestly, they bring up this overall record to make themselves feel like this is an actual competition. But for the last 25 years, it has not been a competition. And y'all talking about the past for 25 years, for 25 years. You can even go back further. This has not been a competition. Go look at the overall record for the Saints and the Falcons. And this is before Drew Brees got here. Before Drew Brees and Sean Payton got here, the Saints had a winning record over the New Orleans Saints. The Atlanta Falcons from 2000 to the present. This isn't even a competition. They use that overall record because they want to add on those games from the 80s and all that kind of stuff there when it really wasn't a competition when it comes to the Saints and the Falcons. But tell me this. Who in here right now remembers when the Falcons had a competitive advantage over the Saints? Please tell me. So the information that they're using, they tell us we're living in the past. The information that they're using to try to validate their success over the Saints, they got to get from their grandparents. So this is laughable to me. It's laughable to me that you have Atlanta Falcon fans for one season of prosperity where they look credible, that they feel like they can jump inside Saints, Saints fans DMs and tweets and feel like they're empowered. Like how? Y'all still a bad franchise. Y'all never won anything. And every time you seem to have some level of prosperity, you always seem to fumble a bag. It's embarrassing. Like, seriously, it's embarrassing. It's like beating somebody 21 times in a game of basketball. Then finally, you're just completely exhausted. They go out there, let's play one more time, and they win. Now, all of a sudden, everywhere we go, man, you remember when I beat you in that basketball game? You remember when I beat you in that basketball game? Hey, man, I beat him in that basketball game. Like, let's seriously. What a joke. What an absolute joke. The crazy part is if Cool goes 3 of 5 of field goals, we would be having a different week. But even that aside, Cousins was looking like Carr with a red and black jersey on most of the time. Well, I'm going to say this. If was a fifth, we all would be drunk, Derek, but we can say the same thing. Look, they want to bring that up, but we can say the same thing about the last meeting. They did not score an offensive touchdown in that football game. Rashid Shaheed fumbled the football. You had a pick 6 by Derek Carr. So who's to say, like, let's just say if he would have fielded that punt, you had three scenarios that worked in the favor of the Atlanta Falcons. The muff punt by Shaheed, the pick 6 by Derek Carr, and the fact that Taysom Hill left the game early. Taysom Hill was running all over the Atlanta Falcons. And when he left the game, the offense went with him. So we can say the same thing. I'm not going to sit up here and like, oh, man, the only reason y'all won because y'all wasn't saying that the last time they played the Saints. So all of a sudden, like, oh, man, we had some bad luck. Exactly. The Saints had the same bad luck. Saints had the same bad luck against them when they played them in Atlanta. So, nah, I'm not accepting that. You can honestly make an argument that the Saints should have beaten the Atlanta Falcons twice. It could have been compelling. Like, I'm just saying. So they can miss me with that. Like I say, man, like it would hurt me if I was talking to a Chiefs fan and I was in a division with them, or the Bills if I was in a division with them. But the Falcons, like, man, you talking about a false sense of reality. You talking about planet delusion. That is a delusional fan base right there. It's like, let's race, everybody. Ready, set, go. No, man, you jumped in front of me. Okay, ready, set, go. Okay, man, you jumped in front of me, man. All right, let's go. Ready, set, go. Oh man, I tripped. I won. Like that's what they on right now. That's what they on. It's like the boy who cried wolf, 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 wolf. Everybody, yeah, he said the wolf coming. All right, man, the wolf coming. Finally, the wolf showed up. Now I say, I told y'all wolf was here. I told y'all. Many years the Atlanta Falcons been telling them, man, this our year. This our year. What they said, a dead clock is right twice a day. Thus, an Atlanta Falcon fan can be twice every couple of decades. Saints' record doesn't reflect how good the team actually is. Had the Saints defense been able to close out the games against the Eagles and Falcons early in the season, things would look different. Yeah, I mean, luck was not on the side of the New Orleans Saints. It was not on the side of the New Orleans Saints. But I do want to mention the fine folks at BetUS once again. Thank you to BetUS. If you actually go to BetUS, you'll see that the Saints are a 1-point favorite against the Cleveland Browns this Sunday inside of the Caesars Superdome. So go to BetUS if you want to place your bet. There's a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, up to 125% on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000. Download the BetUS app or go to the website and use the promo code YouTube150. Let's see. But TJ, with all them turnovers, the Saints still had the lead against the Falcons with less than 2 minutes to play. Yeah, I mean, but they managed to get the ball last, drive down the field, even right after the holding penalty that put them back 10 yards. Paulson Adebo got the holding penalty that put them in field goal range. So, I mean, you can talk about like certain breaks, saying that they actually got in the football game. Just like there were certain breaks for the New Orleans Saints in this football game. So there you have it. Let's see. We should be honestly 5-5. Better coaching, you probably would be at 500 right now. We literally made Vic flip off his own fans in the Georgia Dome after we whipped him. Yeah, I mean, that was like his last season in Atlanta right there. Their fan base is so bad that they don't know when to cheer or boo. That's why they had to pump fake crowd noise in their stadium speakers. Look, I think that they have some really passionate Atlanta Falcon fans out there. I know a couple of them. Shouts out to my guy Smith and Berto and my guy Jew Talk and crew. They passionate about it. Hey, we got 283 people watching this right now. I'm not making this up. We got 283 people watching this right now. I mean, oh my goodness, man. We talk about the Atlanta Falcons and 283 people watching this right now. You can't make this stuff up. But anyway, but I done lost my train of thought, man. That just completely threw me. Oh no, okay. Passionate fans. There we go. Passionate fans. They got some passionate fans out there, man. But for the most part, man, there are a lot of fair weather fans, man. And I don't see the same energy being maintained on a consistent basis. I just don't. They talk noise all week long. When the Saints lose, they win, they back, they talking and all that noise. When they lose, they ain't nowhere to be found, man. That's all I'm saying, man. Just keep that same energy. I've been consistent. People like, man, you bold, man, talking your team 2-6, 2-5, 2-4. Like, it didn't matter. You know why, man? Because it's still, who that? And I still don't think the Falcons gonna do anything. I'm still gonna be talking noise. You still gonna hear from me. You're gonna hear from me through good times. You're gonna hear through me from bad times. So you can say to yourself, like, man, at least dude consistent. But with them, like, they were so sure. They were so sure they were gonna win that football game. My goodness, they were so sure they were gonna win that football game. That's what makes this so wonderful. Now they backpedaling and moonwalking, and now man, y'all still 3-7. Like, y'all thought they was gonna be 2-8, 2-8, loading. Not so fast, my friend. TJ, my young way cool, but she ain't no groupie. Yeah, that was Colin Sanders on Instagram. That was hilarious. And that's why I said the offense not cool lost the game. The Falcons offense waiting until the second half to play with intensity is too late. Bad game plan. You got a running back in Bijan Robinson that was running all over the field, up and down, left and right, and doing all these things. And the next thing you know, you decide to go out there and you don't want to utilize them. So I don't know, man. But let me I'm gonna step away just for a second, man. But it's very, very simple. If you want to be a part of the show, all you got to do is put your comments in the chat.
Hey, what's going on? It's TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and we're about to do what it do, baby. You probably have something to say about the black and gold that's burning hard in your soul. Take those fingers, give them the working. Put them comments in the chat.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is go ahead and put them things in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not so bad.
Oh, you ain't got to worry about it. All you got to do is talk to me. I talk back to you now.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is put them comments in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not so bad.
Talk to me. I guarantee you. I'm going to talk right back to you.
That's right. All you got to do is put the comments in the chat. And, if you want to be interactive with the show. I'm going to take a few more, then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here, folks. I actually have to make a phone call. It's very important there. It says, TJ, Falcons fandom overall is the living embodiment of the Dennis Allen bad B-walk. TJ, I still don't think we should let Sean go. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, it's tough, but that's how you got to rebuild your team, man, because of bad decisions by this individual at the bottom of the screen right here. Sometimes you got to just live with some of the mistakes that you made. And unfortunately, Marshawn Lattimore was just one of those casualties. TJ, I really appreciate your podcast, your honesty and insight. Please press the like button. I appreciate that, Stu, man. I enjoy doing this show as well. I enjoy interacting with you all, engaging with you all. I mean, it's a very fun show to do. State of the Saints podcast. I started watching you, Drew Smitty, and the roundtable because you speak the truth. Christy, thank you. I appreciate that. And I noticed, like, man, at the end of the day, we joke around, we have a good time. The only difference between us is the teams that we cheer for. People just passionate about what they care about. But at the end of the day, we're all sports fans. We all want what's best for the team. I joke and play around a lot, but I try to keep it as honest as possible, man. But I appreciate everybody. Look, I don't discriminate when it comes to fan bases. I mean, shouts out to Brent O'Neill, who's a Tampa Bay fan. Buck, from be on here. Several other like Tampa Bay fans. Buck raised boats. He always shows up. You got some Carolina Panther fans that show up as well. I don't discriminate against anybody, man. Like I said, I just appreciate anybody stopping by. It's humbling. I don't care who you root for, because you could be listening to something else. When I look at the comments and I see Atlanta Falcon fans, talking and engaging in the comments, and it's them defending their team, but at the same time talking about how much they appreciate the show. That means a lot. And, I thank you for that. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody that tunes in, because you can be doing something else with your time. So that's one thing I do appreciate. TJ, I still can't believe that Jabroni said most Saints fans didn't know who MVS was. He is not the people's GM. Eugene, when you said that, it made me think about the Iron Sheik. The Iron Sheik always used to call people jabronis. Oh man, but yeah, I couldn't believe that, man. But it's funny. Man, my phone is blowing up right now. Shouts out to Bleacher Report. See what they got to say. DA was a horrible head coach. The Saints had the lead against the Eagles with 1 minute left to play, and the defense sacked Hurts, but then gave up a 61-yard third down, and defense just couldn't close games. Yeah, he's just not a good coach, man. Just wasn't. Just not a good head coach. But he'll bounce back, man. Somebody going to hire him as a DC, and he's going to be a very good defensive coordinator. That's just his lane. Some guys have lanes, man, and that's his. Rizzi actually lit a fire under Peyton Turner and Chase Young. That alone was impressive. Played their best games as a Saint. yeah, I mean, Peyton Turner looked like, he looked like a completely different player. I mean, that boy lit up Kirk Cousins. I mean, even though like the right tackle slipped, still, man, I mean, he lowered the boom on him. But, he was playing inspired. Let's see. We got a boatload of pick for a guy that couldn't stay on the field. I love Matt Lattimore, but that trade was great for us. The best thing about that whole situation is you actually seen life after, what life could be like without Marshawn Lattimore because he was injured. And, you got Kool-Aid McKinstry. He'll be back in a couple of weeks. Alontae Taylor, he had an up and down game, man. But, when you're transitioning from the, outside to the inside, you get acclimated to the inside. Now they're switching you back to the outside. Got to get acclimated to that too, right? And then also you got Shamar Jean Charles out there. I mean, battling, working hard, but giving up plays as well. I mean, it's just gonna happen, man. But you were able to see what life can be like. I expect for the New Orleans Saints to probably give Paulson Adebo another contract. I think that Paulson Adebo will probably be back in a Saints uniform. Despite the whole holding penalties, Paulson is a little bit of a ball hawk, man. And, he's not the worst cornerback in the world. And outside of the holding penalties, man, he pretty much holds his own against some of the best in the league. So I expect for him to be back. They'll probably, have Kool-Aid on the other side. Lonte probably would go back to the slot where he was actually playing. So I think that the New Orleans Saints, the sky's the limit. Maybe add another cornerback to that room. Definitely draft a safety. Please draft another safety. But, they got some things that they can actually build on. And having another third-round pick can help them be able to get some depth in here and get some young talent. But it's gonna take the scouting department to do the right things in order for them to find that level of success. It says Rizzi. Actually, already read that. It says peace and blessings to TJ in the chat. Who that says? Charles. Christy said, you may be an exception, but unfortunately, majority of your fan base is super fair weather. Yeah, like I said, man, there are Falcon fans that support the team, good, bad, or indifferent. And those are the ones I respect. Like when I say certain things, it's like this. Like my grandfather is a minister, right? He has this saying. He says, if I start preaching on chicken thieves, nobody gonna get mad but the chicken thief. Say if I start preaching on the liars, ain't nobody gonna get mad but the liar. If you're not a liar, you're gonna be like, man, go ahead and keep preaching, keep on telling the story, right? If I'm talking about fair weather Falcon fans, I'm not talking about you. You don't feel that. If somebody starts talking about like when somebody said, man, you ain't no real Saints fan. Man, when I tell you that does not bother me at all, like I present it to you all and tell you all the stories throughout the years, like when people say that about me, but it's mostly just because of content purposes. It doesn't affect me at all because I know how much I love the New Orleans Saints football team, watching its football team, how many years I've invested as a kid, as a teenager, as an adult. My time as far as, being a journalist, I invest time in that. Right. So it's like, it doesn't bother me at all. So, when I say fair weather Falcon fans, if you're not a fair weather Falcon fan, I don't feel like I'm talking about you. And like I said, there are some diehards out there. They ride or die with the Falcons. But what I don't roll with is when teams are down, and your whole fan base go missing. I cannot, like, you can't justify that. To me, you can't justify that with, well, somebody please tell me who going to be celebrating and happy that they team down. You ain't going to be happy that your team down, but people are still going to see you supporting the team. That's the issue I have with, if you roll with the team, you roll with the team. You can't grandstand and beat on your chest and talk about other fan bases, but if I go down your timeline, it is nothing that's reflective of how much you love your football team or how passionate you are about your football team until you find levels of success when you feel like you can get a competitive advantage. That's weak to me. That's weak sauce. That's weak because anybody can grandstand. Like anybody can reap the benefits and reap the rewards of hard work and dedication. But who didn't put their hand to the plow? That's all I'm saying. If you ain't put your hand to the plow, man, like, I can't respect that. I can't respect that, man. You can't sit up in it like, you can't be on some, we on that little red hen type stuff. I done got the weed, I done rolled it up, I done made the flour, I done turned, I done baked this bread, and all of a sudden you want to eat? No, sir. I can't respect that. I can't respect the fact that you want to pull up to the table. No, sir. TJ, you don't like nobody with Gene in their name. Gene Baptiste. Look, that was a disaster right there. TJ, I'm still hearing, put them in the chat. Let's see. I think I saw where Lattimore is on IR as a Commanders too. That was a good trade. I don't know if you're on IR or not. I mean, if he did, then that must have just recently came out. Ride with your team through and through the ups and downs. Like, you can have criticism about the team, but don't just go missing in action. Like, I didn't criticize the same. Y'all already know this season. I mean, I didn't criticize his team, man, but I'm watching every single game, and I'm still supporting them by looking at this game, even though some of them were just horrible to watch. At least you support them. And I ain't about to let nobody, especially the team ain't did nothing, be talking about them. TJ, I'm still rocking my Saints gear on a daily up here in Philly amongst these Eagles fans who hate us more than you think. That's the difference between us and Atlanta. They not like us. Let's see. Christy, I agree. It definitely was great for us. Let's see. We have a good many of those. Let's see. We were told we should not have had a good time until we won. I'm in Mississippi, just north of NOLA. Who comes down and not do nothing? That's crazy. Yeah, man, look, I just feel like teams are going to go through hardships. I mean, you think about the Patriots, 20 years of winning, all of a sudden, like, you in purgatory. You're going to have some down years, but like I said, anybody can grandstand and hot dog and chill when the team is winning. But what are you going to do through those hard times? That's my question. Can't be changing colors based on win-loss records. Yeah. TJ 7 straight. I just was straight up stressed out. I didn't want to hear any press until DA was gone after losing to Bryce. I think that's what it was, Mike. It was the fact that it's one thing that a team is losing, but you can actually try to see that they're fighting, and they just outgunned. Like Carolina, right? At least Carolina is fighting. Like they're not quitting. They're not walking off the field. Like DJ Moore was with Caleb Williams. Like, they're not doing these things. Like, they just basically are fighting, scratching, clawing, and it just doesn't respect. But what I can't respect is you obviously knowing what the issue is with your team and why your team isn't successful and why you're not winning nothing. And then all of a sudden, like, you keep on doubling down, tripling down, and gaslighting the fan base and gaslighting your football team and saying that, no, this is the reason why you're losing, even though everybody knows that the energy is different. The coach isn't what you need. Like, that is the frustrating thing about it. When you know that change needs to take place and nobody's there to address said change. Nobody wants to address said change. That is the frustrating thing about it. But when you're scratching and biting and clawing and trying to compete, like, at least, you're going to support that. Like, the Saints are 3-7 right now. Darren Rizzi, the new coach, interim coach as of right now, he's, lighting the fire under him. I don't know if rah-rah speech is going to be enough, but even if it's not, at least I know for a fact that he's going to try to get the best that he can out of those guys. All in all. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Much love. Shouts out to everybody in the chat. Shouts out to everybody at home. I really do appreciate it. Follow me on X at TJAYJones8, and previous episodes are available on YouTube.com. Search State of the Saints podcast. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.